After applying for jobs in programming or other technical fields, there's usually a video conference that occurs. There are many of the same aspects that should be considered in an in-person interview as those that are conducted online, such as having the right amount of eye contact, wearing the right attire, and of course practicing. In video interviews, you might have to take into consideration the background, the appropriate lighting, and having clean workspace. Dependent on the requirements for the job, the screening could be slightly different. Technical screenings for programming usually follow a similar format. They normally will have a object-oriented portion followed by your programming language, then a database section, and possibly a front-end development or diagramming section. Some of the questions that might be covered in an object-oriented portion of a technical screening might be asking what an object is, which is the representation of a thing that has states and behaviors. The definition of a class, which is the blueprint of the object and consists of properties and aspects of that object. Inheritance, which is an additional class that adds states and behaviors onto a base class, such as a dog extends to an animal. It also is helpful to know the keyword that is used in inheritance, which is the word extends. Encapsulation, which is the inclusion of all the resources required for an object to function. The interface, which is an index of related methods that separate the implementation and define structure. The package, which is a namespace that helps to organize related classes. The purpose of object-oriented programming, which centers around objects instead of procedure for the reuse of concepts. Identifying the design of a class, having only one, extending the behavior, not modifying the class, depending on abstraction, and can construct a client-focused interface. An association, which is the relationship between classes. And within associations, the different types of relationships, which is aggregation, being a weak association with partial ownership, composition, which is a strong type of association with full ownership. Have an understanding of abstraction, which emphasizes on the qualities and properties, hiding irrelevant details, and is focused on what the object does. Then generalization, which replaces multiple entities performing similar functions. This focuses on the similarities of objects. Recognize characteristics of abstract classes, which can't be instantiated, are used to extend upon a superclass with the implementation completed by a subclass. Abstract classes establish parameters requiring programmers to provide their own implementation. Know the difference between class and interface. The class includes details and resources, while the interface just summarizes the class methods. Be able to compare an interface and an abstract class. The interface makes implementation interchangeable, while the abstract class can be used to provide some default behaviors for a base class. Polymorphism is the ability to request that the same operations be used by many different techniques. Overloading is defining several methods or operators, all with the same name. Overriding is if a similar method is already provided, it will be conducted by the superclass. An expression evaluates to a single value, with a statement being a sentence of code or a line. The block is a group of statements. Then the control flow, which are conditions such as if statements and loops. Know to use a static method, when an object doesn't have to be already created, or the method does not need to be changed or overridden. Then in the SQL section, there is usually a question about joining tables, being left or right. Left join returns all the records from the left table and matches the primary key to a foreign key from the right, and vice versa for right join. In the SQL section, you may be asked to describe or demonstrate the structure of some of those statements. One of the most common SQL statements asked about is a select statement with a where condition. It will start with the keyword select, followed by the column that the value will be requested from, then the from keyword. Following that is the table, then the where keyword, and finally the value of that column. You may also be asked about the statement to create a database or table. During a technical screening that covers JavaScript, a common question is knowing the difference between the triple equal sign and the double, or for a comparison of it not being the value, is the exclamation mark and equal sign or double equal sign. Know in JavaScript that the double equal sign will compare the value regardless of the data type of the variable, where the triple equal sign will compare the data type and the value of the variable. Questions also could cover the software development lifecycle, with the phases being an investigation phase, determining the alternatives, an analysis phase, identifying problems, the design phase, which is the creation of the map or models, then a testing phase to evaluate the performance, and a maintenance phase, which is for enhancements or to keep the application running. Diagrams could be asked about, such as a use case diagram, which is the process that the user will go through when trying to accomplish a task. A class diagram, which is the relationship between classes listed with their states and behaviors. Then a sequence diagram, which is a series of objects that are connected to their related actions. For front-end development, it may cover basic tags such as headings and paragraphs. Then styling that could be asked about is how to structure CSS. Styling could be applied to a tag and a class, which is a period followed by the class name. Then in the brackets, there will be attributes. To change styling by an element's ID, a number sign is used followed by the ID name, then brackets with the attributes. A question could be asked about where the doc type tag is located, which is above the head. Then some tags that could be covered is the table and ordered and unordered lists tags. A table is made up of the table tag, with it being optional to have a caption tag under it. Then a th tag could be used for the table's header. Then tr tags, which are columns, and then td tags, which are the cells or row. A ul tag is an unordered list tag, with li tags being each of these listed items, and an ordered list is an ol tag, also containing an li tag for each of these items in the list. A form also could be covered with a form tag containing various input tags, such as text, radio, checkbox, and submit types. There's lots of different questions that could be asked about Java, and technical screenings could all be verbal, but they also could ask for demonstrations of different coding algorithms. Various languages could be covered depending on the job description. One thing to know is having an understanding of arrays. Know how to create an array, then have some idea of different techniques for sorting. An instance that may be encountered is identifying how to create an algorithm that will check an array that has duplicates. There's many ways to do this. And this could be done with a string or an integer type. Less common, but also could be covered, are array lists. Overall, have some idea how to loop through arrays and print out its elements. Hopefully some of the topics covered in this video will help to prepare for technical screening and interviews when applying for a programming job.